Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Dilly.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Adili. And Daniel, how are you doing? Thanks for joining as well, Daniel.
Dilly, I love how I see every time I see you, you are always like ear to ear smiling. I mean, I don't think I have not even met you in person, and you come across as like the happiest person.
I'm so happy. Good things happen around the world. So always excited, and thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Ryan's also joining us, Ilse, but Giovanna, I think you're right. I think, I mean, people are still joining, so I want to be mindful with everyone's time. So I think, Alexi, if you don't mind, I would love to kind of have everyone learn a little bit more about you, and then we'll just jump right into it.
Sure, yeah, I would love to. Thank you. So my name is Alexi. I'm a Ukrainian. I now live in Mexico. My wife is from here, so it's been about 4 years that we live here. And since the war started, we kind of mobilized the Ukrainian community in Mexico, and we're trying to do different things, what we can do to help, collecting humanitarian aid, trying to find connections on the ground who actually need help, because generally the help is needed very urgently, and a lot of organizations, they want to do everything through official channels, and it takes time, it takes approval, and all that bureaucracy is costing a lot of time, basically, that people could get help on the ground right away. They are still waiting, or they are lacking some basic needs, right? So we are trying to organize different things. I see Elisa joined us as well. She's from Mexico City, and she's helping us with the logistical part. And that's actually one of the things that we are somewhat struggling with, because it's very easy to collect humanitarian aid, but it's not as easy to send it. And maybe I'll let her to speak about that more detailed, because she's involved in that. But generally speaking, the help for Ukrainians is very like, for most of the people, they're more likely to donate for humanitarian needs, for refugee centers, for people who are internally displaced, for people who leave the country altogether. But the reality is that like my friend said, for every dollar that the army is needing today, we'll end up donating $50 for humanitarian needs tomorrow, because they are the ones on the frontier, they are the ones protecting the people. So when the army has some certain needs, we try to help them first, because if the army holds on the aggression, then we won't have refugees, we won't have cities destroyed, and then we won't need to collect even more money to rebuild those cities, to help people who lost their family members, who lost their jobs, and so forth. So this is kind of in a nutshell what's going on. And practically we are trying to involve our partners, or people, our connections that we know here in Mexico. Someone has connections in the US, someone has connections in Ukraine. So we're trying to connect them all together and basically find people who could help and find people who need help. So that's kind of in a nutshell what do we do. But I'll let Elisa speak a little bit more on the logistical part and the problems we're facing here in Mexico.
Thank you, Alexi. Nice to meet you all. My name is Elisa Schmelkes. I have been working with the Ukrainian community in Mexico since the war began. Of course, when everything started, people started collecting humanitarian aid, not knowing what a big problem it is to send humanitarian aid from Mexico to any other country. So I took charge of the project, and I have been trying to push everything so that it can happen. Now everything is ready for our aid to go. We have transportation, we have everything is ready except for customs. Mexico has no law that allows humanitarian aid shipments to leave. They have to open exceptions. and no exceptions have been opened yet. So that has been the struggle for the government to allow us to send this aid. There was a big meeting yesterday with government officials and the embassy. Apparently it went well. So I'm not exactly sure about the details, but it seems like we will be able to send the aid, I hope. I hope. We have about 20 to 30 tons of aid collected and classified and everything. Ready to
Elisa,
go.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And we're here to support you. As you know, we have an office in Mexico as well. And we were actually going to pay for 1 or 2 containers departing Mexico. So if you already have enough funds to ship the container that you're already planning to ship, then great. But if you actually need support on the financial side of things, we're going to offer that as well from Mexico. So just send us a quick email and we can help you with that.
Thank you, Enrique. Yes, definitely. We have funds. The Honorary Consul of Ukraine in Tijuana, his name is Pedro Ramirez Campuzano. He generously offered to help. He's going to fund anything that's needed for these first shipments. But of course, more help is always welcome, and more shipments are surely going to be sent. If this window opens, then let's just send everything we can. So yes, I agree. Please, please let's get in touch and let's arrange that.
Totally agree with you on that. And thank you so much for you and Alexi for what you're doing. We're with you guys, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. With that said, Adili, I think you started talking earlier on. Do you want to introduce yourself and what you do and how amazing of an organization you're a part of? And Adili, they are already sending a container to Ukraine. So so go ahead, just tell us a little bit more about what you do and what you're doing right now for the Ukraine.
Yeah, my name is Adili. I run the operations at an organization called Serve International. We're based out here in Atlanta. We get an opportunity to serve people around the world. We currently have missions in Cuba. We have missions in Afghanistan. We have a team in Jordan. And also right now we have a team in western part of Ukraine. We've been so fortunate to work with Vector Global Logistics for the last couple of years. In logistics and delivering food around the world. I grew up in Kenya. I grew up in those areas that I always say people are dying from hunger. So time is very important. So as we sit here and discuss some of these issues for what is happening, the challenges in Ukraine, every minute counts. And so I'm excited about this conversation to see how we can support the people. Our team in Ukraine, their goal is the integrity of the gifts that are given from our partners in America. So our goal is to make sure that every item gets to the people in need or most in need. And so that's what we focus on, and collecting the data and stories for our partners weekly. And so through the partnership and support of Vector Global Logistics, we have a container that will be shipping to our team there. And our goal is to make sure that it gets to the community. We have 9 staff members on the ground right now that are doing this distribution. So that's what we do, and excited to be about this conversation.
Where are they, Adili, again? Where are they, the volunteers?
I can try to pronounce the name, but I'll probably need some help from the people on this team. But one of our main bases is, again, is it called Mukachevo, Mukachevo? Can somebody help me with that? No, we're all good. So I'll say whatever.
Mukachevo is the right pronunciation. That's correct.
Oh, wow. There we go. So we're in 4 major cities in western part of Ukraine. And I can send you a report because we get weekly reports from our team. And I can send a report to this community of the work that we're doing there right now.
Yeah, that would be great. And of course, if someone is in need of sending something to that area, since Adili already has a team there and he's incredibly kind, and what they do is helping others, I'm pretty sure that you can reach out to him and really contact him directly to try to coordinate other efforts. Thanks. And Patrick, I just saw you as well. Patrick Polonsky, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Patrick, do you want to go ahead and introduce
here.
yourself and what you're doing as well?
Yes, thank you. I'm Pat Polonsky. I'm the Executive Director of Books for Africa. We have a warehouse facility in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's serving as a collection point for materials that are going to Ukraine. So I think some material has already arrived there, and we look forward to collecting much more from the donor community and getting it off to Ukraine. We're basically just the storage facility. Vector is, of course, arranging the logistics for sending it, but we're glad that our warehouse can be helpful to this effort.
Thank you very much for lending us your warehouse. I know that the minute we called you, you never hesitated. Your team actually was fully on board as well, and they even mentioned that they're going to throw in a couple of pallets of children's books on the container so that we can deliver that to the refugees and the refugee camps. And I think the children are going to really enjoy having something for them, right? Other than all this horrors of war. So thanks, Patrick, and thank your team on our behalf.
Thank you.
Well, and as we mentioned before, for some of you that have joined the this forum, it's really, there's not a set agenda. It's not for us to present or talk about Vector. It's just for us to connect and continue helping. So if anyone wants to go ahead and introduce themselves, I think Daniel, thanks for joining. I know that you wanted to introduce your company, and I think you're very active. So go ahead. And again, if anyone else wants to just jump in and interrupt and just communicate, just do it, please. Oh, Vladimir, I see your hand. I'm not used to the little icon, but well, you'll go after Daniel if you want.
All right. Hi, everyone. Just yesterday, I received the invitation from Enrique about this meeting. I was really surprised, actually, that there are such Zoom meetings with transport stakeholders. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone here, and I do appreciate that people around the world get connected in order to help Ukraine and Ukrainians. I'm here in Ukraine, in Odessa right now. I represent Informal Business Group company. This is consulting company which renders a full range of consulting that is needed for planning, decision making, and implementation of various transport infrastructure projects over Ukraine. And our main product is a Black Sea container study, which is, I believe, the most accurate and comprehensive material on the Black Sea container market. So here in Odessa, we do receive a lot of humanitarian aid, basically from Port of Constanta. And since we do have connections as an informal group, we do have connections with all major transport stakeholders in Ukraine, such as terminal operators, freight forwarders, trucking companies, and obviously shipping lines, right? We help to connect them in order to speed up the delivery of ocean containers particularly. Right now there is a congestion in Port of Constanta, and due to maybe miscoordination or some other issues, containers are being delayed, and not only import containers with the regular products, but most likely other containers with humanitarian aid. I just jumped in on the previous Zoom meeting you had last week. I just watched it for 20-30 minutes, and Enrique mentioned, and somebody else mentioned, that there are some difficulties with customs procedures, and that customs is struggling with arranging paperwork. So, and same thing is happening in Constanta. Obviously, this is unprecedented times for everyone, and everyone is needed some time to adapt. But again, I see that people are doing a lot to help and assist us here. If anyone need any connections with specifically in Odessa region, basically this is the main container hub in Ukraine, I can share my email and I can get you connected with our partners in freight forwarding or local agencies and shipping lines and local representatives, who can help you get your freight moving faster and in the most cost-effective way, obviously. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
I'm sorry. Can I just ask a quick question? I thought the port of Odessa was closed.
That's what I was going to ask also.
Obviously, yeah, it is closed. That's why I mentioned Port of Constanta in Romania, which is where all import and export containers and various other cargoes are coming in and out for Ukraine. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question as well? Because we've seen that for the most part, when we've been speaking with organizations that are looking to get goods directly into Ukraine, we were planning on doing that through Poland. Are you seeing that it's easier to do that through Romania? Because we've been planning to transload product and then having, Ukrainian forwarders and trucking companies come into Poland and grab it and bring it back because the truckers weren't really able to cross the border from the EU. Are you seeing that where you are too, or is that that was the information we talked about last week? Has that changed at all?
Right. So yeah, it is true that truckers, any truckers who are not Ukrainian and they belong to some other international companies, yeah, they don't want to cross the borders. They are not bringing products into Ukraine. What they do, they deliver up to the borders and then we do transfer. But regarding Port of Constanta, first of all, Constanta is the nearest port for Ukraine right now. This is the nearest gateway. From Constanta, you can easily deliver containers and products to the western part and to the south part, to Odessa and to Lviv region. Specifically in Lviv region, we do have a lot of consolidation warehouses and distribution centers that are distributing products and all kind of goods to the places where it's needed the most. Constanta have been congested for the last 2-3 weeks, but the situation is getting better since port authorities, shipping lines and customs officers all together developing new procedures in order to speed up the process. Also, we know that some shipping lines allow to bring equipment such as containers in Ukraine without need to transfer the goods into the trucks, right? So before 2-3 weeks ago, every freight forwarder had to arrange a transfer from an ocean container into a truck with a trailer because shipping lines were not allowing equipment crossing the border and entering Ukraine. Right now, again, obviously with certain requirements, sometimes it's a cash deposit or maybe it could be some kind of special insurance. It depends, right? But we see this, it's improving. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. And of course, we'll share all that information with everyone so they can reach out to you. And of course, we will reach out to you soon enough.
My pleasure.
With, some of the containers that are heading your way. Vladimir, you've been incredibly patient with the little hand on, so
yeah.
Go for it.
I got a question, guys. We received 60 pallets of medical gloves for doctors to examine as a donation, and I'm trying to figure out what would be the most efficient way to get it shipped. I'm just trying to see if anybody can.
Where are they now, Vladimir? Where are they?
They're currently located in like Tampa, Florida area.
Tampa, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually working with another organization in Tampa to get a container over to Poland. So I can touch base with you offline as well if everybody doesn't have any sort of other outside updates on that.
Yeah. So if you can send us an email to the Ukraine email address, we can coordinate and maybe share some of the space if there's any, or just get another container. The other thing that we're checking, and this is something that that Will mentioned last meeting, is he has a couple of contacts with hospitals in the region. And so we will ask them as well whether they actually need some of these PPE materials. We've seen a lot of companies in the US that probably had PPE from the pandemic that are now trying to donate it. And so we'll confirm with specific hospitals so that we can send them to wherever they're needed the most.
Okay, and then as far as food, besides that, we also are gathering, and we want to ship out food out of here, dry food. And then also, if I could, maybe somebody could give me a quote, what it will cost to ship a container from Tampa area. What would be the most, because I can tell you anything about over the road in the US, but as far as containers, that's not my cup of tea. I just don't know anything about it. So if I could get some advice from anybody that does this.
We can get that for you right away, because there's an organization that we've worked with once or twice that's located in Tampa that contacted me a couple weeks ago, and I was just actually in Tampa over the weekend. I just wasn't in a position to visit anybody, but they had asked for a quote from Tampa to get over to Poland. So we had already requested that with one of the steamship lines, and I think we got it back earlier this afternoon. I didn't get a chance to get through it yet, so I can get that to you. It will go on the rail up to Savannah, and then it will go from Savannah over to Poland. That was the way we had quoted it originally for this particular customer.
Okay, and whatever is the most efficient. And like I said, I mean, just if you could get me a quote, I would be very good, very thankful for that.
I have it written down, and once I get through some emails after the call today, I can, if you don't hear from me by tomorrow morning, just jump back in. I've had a lot of a couple of my kids were really sick, so I've been trying to get through my buried emails this week. But I do know that I have a quote from Tampa over to Eastern Europe in my inbox. It came through about an hour or two ago. So we can definitely get you that. And again, for those of you who were not on the call last week, Hapag Lloyd joined us, and they have kind of come into a partnership with us to offer us a bunch of containers at cost to get to Eastern Europe. And so we're able to just pass that on directly to those seeking, it's basically assistance in paying for this, because it would be at the steamship line's cost to get over to Eastern Europe. And so we haven't reached our maximum with that yet. And so we're subsidizing a little bit of that as well. So I think that the rate should be really good for the ocean freight piece. It's just more, Vladimir, for your side to see who would be the consignee and kind of bearing those costs of, if there's a VAT assigned to the product, or if it's already going to a humanitarian aid organization. That's kind of where we're finding we're trying to make sure all the paperwork is right. So if the commercial invoice says $0, is Poland going to charge duties and taxes yet? Or we're trying to figure that out, so to minimize the cost for those receiving it on the destination side. So we can talk more about that.
Ship line? I'm sorry, which steamship line did you say provided the freight at cost?
Hapag Lloyd, and they were super helpful, and I can't thank them enough, because they're huge organizations, multi-billion-dollar companies, and they move very slowly most of the time. But this time, I was surprised with their partnership and how quickly they moved, and so we're really.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name. What was
Hapag Lloyd. Hapag Lloyd.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But no, so we'll talk about that, Vladimir. And also, if anyone on the call needs even more funds, we also are members of the organization called the WCA. It's the largest private network of freight forwarders and logistic companies in the world. And they have also some funds that they can use to ship products around if they're geared towards helping Ukraine. So we can also make those connections if need to. So good point, Vladimir.
And then also I have we're trying to figure out that we've actually made a really good contact, and these young fellows used to live in Seattle, and it's called Solid Rock. They're a nonprofit. They have a nonprofit in Poland. They have one in Ukraine, and they also have some equipment there. If somebody needs to move something, you know, they can help out. Also, only if it's obvious, if it's donated stuff, because they're a nonprofit,
Right.
so they're trying to distribute. They have locations that they can that they've have kind of developed throughout the years that they can help distribute donations.
Could you share their contact info on the chat for us, website or a name or email or something like that?
Okay, yeah, definitely, I will.
Thank you.
I want to jump in, sorry, just,
Go ahead, Mike.
I wanted to ask Daniel, before I forget, if you could also drop your email, because you said that if anyone in the call wants to contact you for any advice over there in Odessa, please just share your email with us. Also,
Sure.
I wanted to mention, going back to what Maureen said about the duties and taxes, we're also working for Adili's container and the church that he's partnering with. Our agent in Budapest is being like very, very helpful. They are already very in touch with the consignee, and they're trying to help them to get a permit so that they don't need to pay taxes for this, because in the case of this specific shipment that has been already loaded and ingated and it's supposed to depart tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. We already have the documents, like the commercial invoice. We asked for a donation letter, but still they would need to pay, like the law is the law, so they have to pay the duties and taxes corresponding to this donation. But the agents are really trying to get them a permit so that they don't have to pay for that. And as Enrique was mentioning, and Maureen too, please shoot us an email to the Ukraine@vectorgl.com address if you need any help besides the one you're mentioning for the shipping, and also if you want to use any of the generous donation that Hapag-Lloyd is doing at letting us use their containers at cost. Because I mean, even though everyone wants to help, it's still like expensive to ship. So we need to take advantage of all of the pieces that are trying to help and go for it. And last thing here in the chat, I want to congratulate, or well, make a shout out to Andy Dobson, who wrote that he worked with a pharma company in Ukraine and that he wants to help. And he's mentioning that if anyone needs pallets moving, he can drive himself inside the Ukraine. So
Hey, and
thanks.
Andy, can you talk? I mean, we would love to hear this from you as well. And thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, I can talk. Just, well, pretty much like like my post says, I worked in Ukraine last year. Worked for a pharma company out there on a transformation project. I talked to loads of people. I didn't hear one of them who wanted to be Russian, but that's probably a different story. So yeah, the bottom line is, I mean, I don't have a lorry and I don't have any trailers or anything, but what I do have is hands and feet and a Class 1 license. So I can move anything to any of the borders. Unfortunately, my partner has made me promise not to go into Ukraine. So I may or may not break that promise depending on the urgency of the need. But yeah, my email address is there. If I can help anybody, please, please let me know. I can get to the port of Dover in a couple of hours, get over on a ferry and pick something up from northern France. Whatever they need, I can try and find a solution to it, but at least I can drive.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for that generous offer. It's just, it's inspiring that people like you actually are willing to just drive into the war to help others. So thank you so much. I mean, you're inspiring everyone on this group, I'm sure, and I'm sure that you're inspiring a lot more people out there too. So keep it up.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do what I can. I was starting to recognize places in Kyiv because I was out there for 3 months last year, and I started noticing places, and I'm thinking, I've eaten in that restaurant, I've walked down that street. And this sounds daft, but I saw a sign on the back of behind one of the reporters on ITV News in the UK, and I recognized the sign. It's the Seiko shop in Kiev that serviced my watch when I was there. And somebody said to me, that must be terrible for you seeing all these things. And I said, yeah, it's not great, but I tell you what, it's a million times better than the people that are living through it. I'm in contact with people who, you know, they're trying to keep the factory running because they're supplying pharmaceuticals all over, you know, all over Russia, Tajikistan, Kurdistan, and all the stands, and they're trying to keep the factory running. And there are bombs dropping. Well, there were bombs dropping around them. Don't know what the latest position is in Kiev. But anyway, I've talked enough. I'll start getting emotional otherwise.
No, it's incredible what some people are doing. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing worse than actually living it. And I was talking to one of our technology partners here in the US yesterday, and they have a full team of 8 people in Ukraine, and they have been working throughout the war inside a bunker, still coding, still pushing things through, still coordinating. So it's been, I mean, Daniel's in Odessa and he's still working. So it's inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think, Alexei, yeah, and go ahead. The hand signal, just jump in. We're fine interrupting each other. We'll make it work.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a quick question regarding the logistical part within the US. So if in theory, I'm talking to some churches and missionary organizations in the US that are expressing some willingness to help, but they don't know how. So, and since some of them are relatively big, they don't want to send money directly to just bank accounts of people because, I don't know, it sounds sketchy, right? When you give someone the account of your friend and you're saying that, hey, he's a coordinator of a refugee center, please believe me that it's correct, right? So they're trying to do everything officially. And what would be the way if we would, do you guys have any collection centers in different states of the containers that you are sending, or how would someone in the US, an organization, a church, a mission would join kind of that train?
It's a great question. And the answer is, we do have a couple of consolidation warehouses. The one that we're directly coordinating with is Books for Africa, Patrick Ponsky in Atlanta, Georgia. And you guys or anyone can ship pallets there. Send us an email so we can make sure that everything's labeled correctly, so that the warehouse, when they receive it, they know it's for the Ukraine and for this particular effort. There's another logistics company that it's doing something similar, and they're in New York and New Jersey. They're also consolidating. So there's a couple of consolidation sites in the east, northeast, and the southeast in particular. Now, if and I totally hear what you're saying about the money. If what they want to do is actually not ship products or donations, but still help, donating on some of those random websites could be sketchy, as you mentioned, but the other way of doing it is just basically paying for freight, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be through us. It could be another logistics company, but we actually need to ship as much as we possibly can. Vector is donating containers for free, but we just have more donations than the cash flow, I guess, that we can dedicate to paying for containers. So we can use some of the discounts that HAPAC has offered. And so I would say, if you talk to someone that has the money and wants to support or sponsor a container, just let us know, and we'll basically send them an invoice for the shipping cost of that particular container or pallets of goods, and that would be their proof that they actually made the contribution, and they'll get not only that, but they'll be able to kind of track the container as it goes into Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria. And that would be my 2 cents. But if anyone else has any other ideas, we have another company that manufactures helmets and armor for soldiers, and I know that those are in huge need now. Some organizations feel a little bit not too comfortable in paying for armor and helmets for the war itself, but if you do have some, send us an email as well. We'll put you in touch with them. They can pay for a couple of pallets full of helmets and armor, and then we'll ship them, right? So there's plenty of ways.
The other thing too is Matter. I don't think. Oh, sorry, Matter is not on the call today. They're usually here, but they also have endless amounts of medical supplies available to donate. So if the church also wants to donate to another church, then we can certainly ship a container of medical supplies. I think Ryan and Adili, both the recipients on the end of yours, are both churches as well. So if they feel comfortable from that angle and want to pay for medical supplies going over there, then that's another option.
I have a question. As far as those bulletproof vests, there are a lot of volunteers that are on the ground, you know, driving around. I actually know one that evacuated my father-in-law. His brother got shot evacuating, killed actually, evacuating somebody. And my question is this, is there an area where they could get them, you know, where those volunteers can go and get a vest? Or does anybody have any of that in information? Because I know there's some places that now are starting to sell fake ones, and they bought some, but those things are useless. I mean, everybody's trying to make sometimes there's people out there trying to make a dime on somebody's misery. So, I mean, I'm just trying to see if there's because I know we've been getting a lot of requests from the volunteers that I personally know, and I'm just wondering if you guys have a contact that we can maybe get some donated to us and we can ship them there. We actually have guys that are flying out, and maybe they can bring some with them and just give it to the guys there on the ground.
We have, we just recently contacted a manufacturing facility in Ohio that manufactures the helmets and armor vests and all that. Now, so they're legitimate in that regards, but they're here in the US, so we still have to ship them. And also they cannot afford to donate them. They can give good pricing.
Yeah, pricing's fine too. I mean, if it's good pricing, we will definitely.
Now, none of us, or at least not me on this call, and here I'll share my screen for a second because I know that it might be recording, but so this is kind of like what we have. Now, again, we're not experts when it comes to this particular product, so we might need someone's expertise to assess whether it's the right level of armor needed and things like that. But yeah, send us an email and we'll put you in touch directly with the manufacturer, and of course we can coordinate the logistics and support in any way we can. But yes, we have someone.
Yeah, we had some that were donated by the police in Sarasota County. They gave us 160 helmets for free, and we've already transferred some of them there with people who were flying there, and they just took, you know, each of them took some and gave it to the volunteers. But it would be nice to see if you can get some more in bulk, maybe.
Sure. Send us an email. I'll put you in touch with the manufacturer directly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No, thank you, Vladimir. And I'm so sorry to hear the loss of your brave father-in-law. Anyone else that wants to jump in?
Yeah, I'll just share this. It's not a lot, but so we have our main what we call landing zone, LZ, and that's in Budapest, and that's kind of where we contain everything that comes in. And then we day 2 of this, we're able to purchase a van, and I'll be sending you all information tomorrow, our update from last week. So we're able to purchase a van, and so we have another location in the western part of Ukraine. I'd shared that before. So we'll be taking stuff into Ukraine. That's our goal. We have 2 teams. We have Team Blue that works in the Budapest area. A lot of refugees coming in, and they're with families. So we want to make sure they get the resources. But then our Team Red. So if you see the impact that I'll be sending tomorrow, Team Red is inside Ukraine, and some areas we can't really share where because of security. But so those are our 2 teams working in the area to make sure that everything we receive is distributed to people in need. So you'll be seeing that upcoming here in a couple of weeks.
That's awesome. Thanks, Adili.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adili. Pavel, I see that Kim just joined. Anyone else that wants to jump in? And yeah, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, I just heard Vladimir said that there are some, unfortunately, there are some people, who trying to get some diamond, scam people and volunteers in Ukraine. Obviously, our government is trying to do their best to catch them and prevent. But what I wanted to say is, if there is any humanitarian aid, and especially aid for the military and for the army, for our guys in front, and if any of this help is arriving into Odessa, and you want these products and these goods be delivered to the people who really need it, let me know, because we do have connections with reliable volunteers, and they will deliver it to, if it's needed, to specific person, to specific people in exact location, right? Because this is the crucial right now, very essential, really, to support our guys at front. Yeah. So again, yeah, any goods arriving into Odessa through port of Constanta or through port of Varna in Bulgaria, yeah, just let us know and we will get them connected in order to get this moving. Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. No, thank you.
Another quick question, sorry. Do you have some sort of a list of organizations or volunteers that you work with on the ground in Ukraine? And what would be the way to add other organizations to that list?
I shared a link for Solid Rock. I know the guy that runs it. I know a lot of the people in the organization. They're honest as they can get. So I mean, I would trust them. I've known them for many years, so I can, as far as that, I can vouch for those guys. That's what I can say.
And from my side, we have our own community, like my friends and other people, and we do help, we do donate money, and we try to get some parcels moving, again, through our personal vehicles and through our personal connections. But in order to give you exact volunteers, organization names, I have to just pull some strings and make sure, first of all, make sure these are legitimate organizations. And after this, yeah, I can share this information. But obviously, I have to double check first.
Yeah, and I will also get a couple additional names that I will check through some of the bishops in the churches in that area to make sure that they are a couple extra ones as well.
Vladimir, could you share your contact information as well? I'll also send you some contacts of people in Chernivtsi who are doing that. It's a part of Young Life Ukraine organization. So they have a refugee center. There's also a refugee center in Uman, run by Mennonites of Canada. So if there is a way for you to include them in your network, can I send someone that information as well?
Yeah, guys, also if you want us to consolidate the list of the different organizations that everyone's working in the ground as volunteers, and you want us to put them all together and then send it to this in the email after the recap of the call, please let us know so that we can create the list and send it to all of you. It's
likewise, if there's any consignees that you are already working with or familiar with that are accepting donations in Poland or the surrounding countries that are already registered as humanitarian, sharing some of that info would be great, because we have a couple organizations we're working with, and they are going to distribute the aid that we're sending to humanitarian aid organizations, but they are not registered as humanitarian aid organizations. And so that importer is going to be bearing the costs possibly of duties and taxes and other extra costs that could be used to just instead bring more aid in. If we were to actually consign it directly to an organization that's already registered for humanitarian aid purposes, we can circumvent some of those extra costs and get more material in the hands of those who need it faster. Because some of the holdups at origin here are making sure all the paperwork is neat and tidy for, let's say, Poland or Romania before we're able to get things on the water. Because there is a little bit of, like we've talked about, the bureaucracy. And as it's adapting, it might be adapting while a container's on the water over that 30 days. But we have to take the information we have when it's sailing to make sure there isn't any holdups. We had David on the call last week that was talking about one of his shipments was held up for a while, something he had shipped a couple weeks ago. with one of his other partners that was held up because of this humanitarian organization coding, let's say, or recognition by the Polish government. So we're trying to prevent that. So for anything that we're shipping, we're really trying to make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's and making sure everything is just, when it gets to the destination, it gets in the hands of those who need it right away without any holdups.
Yeah, and Pavel, I was reading your text or your chat, rather. You're also in the Ukraine, correct?
Yeah, I'm also in Odessa. Actually, we've been cooperating with an informal company, which is represented by Daniel in this chat for past 20 years, maybe. So our companies know each other quite well. We're doing all kind of logistics. We're actually even representing several lines in Ukraine, such as OOCL, Turkon line, Medcon, used to be a China shipping agent as well. So we are dealing with all kinds of logistics within Ukraine since 1992. So pretty much got plenty of experience in that. Actually, for the aids and humanitarian commodities, we are now running through Gdańsk because we've got own warehouse facility over there, and in the second one is in Lviv. But I cannot add some kind of information because, as Daniel already said, most of the cargoes are coming to Poland, and we're picking it up in Poland and shipping it further to the warehouses, which are already assigned, or to our warehouses for the future spread. So you can easily apply to us. As Daniel said, Constanța, yes, but on my personal experience, I can tell you that the port still can be considered as heavily congested. Even today, we saw the line or the queue entering the port. It should be something like 2-3 kilometers, looks like. So
Yeah,
don't wait it to be very fast for picking up the container from Constanța. So it might take at least several weeks for you to pick it up. But
yeah, I agree with
Varna should be an option, should be a good option because it's not congested at the moment at all. So yes, you should pay on something like 300 on top, 400 on top for the tracking, but you can easily pick it up almost the next day it arrives. So.
Can you repeat from which port? Sorry.
Varna port, Bulgaria.
Can you type it in the chat? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. It's Bulgaria, Varna. I will write.
Bulgaria.
I will type it. Yeah.
Yeah, on top of that, I just want to add that Bulgaria, currently, they simplified a lot of cross-border rules for Ukrainian truckers in order, again, to speed up the flow of goods. And the distance between Constanta and Varna is only 150 kilometers. So it's really a short leg. But yeah, Pavel is 100% right that Constanta is congested, especially because right now Ukraine as one of the most important grain exporter and different various crops, right? This is another problem that Ukrainian exporters are pushing a lot of grains through the port of Constanta. At least they are trying to do, and through river, Danube River. So yeah, another option is Port of Varna. That's right. That's a good option.
Also, you should. Sorry, just a second. To add on top as well, you can also consider because we have in our own office in Chisinau, which is Moldova. So, and they've got also warehouse facility which can be used for transshipment of the cargo if your company, which is coming from Europe, it doesn't matter which country, if they don't want to go to Ukraine, we can arrange restaffing over there in Chisinau, Moldova. It's already been done, so as an option.
I also this is just a thought. It's going to be interesting to see what really unravels in the next week, because it seems like there's a huge military buildup and it's going to be interesting how that buildup explodes. Because I mean, some stuff we have to watch for that we might have to change our plans, and a lot of things that we plan out to do, depending on how badly it's going to get in a couple of weeks. Because I just have this kind of interesting feeling by talking to a couple of people overseas that think things could really get out of hand.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to email us or reach out to us or anyone on this calls for support. We're here with everyone in the Ukraine. So thank you so much, everyone, for pitching in. Maureen, is there anything else that we didn't address today?
No, I definitely just wanted to make sure that I gave some acknowledgement to Performance Health, who's on the call here. They had a very generous donation of a pallet of tourniquets, which made it to the Books for Africa warehouse earlier this week. And we're really excited and appreciative of your very, very large generosity. So thank you so much for that. We're also very appreciative of Swan. They are not on the call right now, but they offer kind of trucking and drayage services, and we work with them, and they have helped us on a couple of shipments and are planning to help us on more, and they are giving us some kind of humanitarian aid, Ukraine crisis discounted rates for some of these that we haven't necessarily seen from any other trucking companies. And again, they're not on the call, and neither's Hapag, but we definitely want to make sure we recognize those who are doing what we can, because we all do have to, pay our bills and keep our cash flow heavy, or like keep it going. But we are appreciative of the organizations that are doing what they can to help us out, and therefore help all of you out and your constituents and those that you're working with. And I do know that Ryan, I know you're on this call somewhere. I just wrote you back right before our call. Viva Blue is able to find a donor. And I don't know if you want to talk a little about what you guys do, but we're really working to make that work for you guys to find a solution for those couple pallets. But again, you guys are a small company and you're starting up, and it's really great to see you truly making an effort to try and get some product over there. So definitely speak up, because that way more people kind of know what you do.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Maureen. And just for everyone, I'm Ryan with Vivo Blue, and we've created a water filtration system utilizing the hollow fiber membrane. And we are a young company, but our water filter is very unique compared to other filters that are commonly known on the market, which require the backwashing. Ours is I'll just do real quick. It's a simple method of cleaning, and it's the hollow fiber membrane is just rinsed rather than the backwashing. We did have a donor that wants to make a difference there in Ukraine, and they bought 2,400 water filters. And right now, the founders of Vivo Blue, we're planning a trip to join our partners who are also familiar with Vivo Blue. They're on the ground. And so we have a goal of trying to raise money for 100,000 filters by the end of the year. And so that's just something that we're trying to do. We are not able to donate them as a company since we're only a couple years old, but some donors really like our product and they want to be able to have an impact. So we're glad to be able to do that. And just to give you a little site there, there is our water filter there. It's a 2-bucket system. Oh, wow, thank you. Thanks for putting that on there. But yeah, so it's
I thought it would be easier. Plus,
yeah,
I love the effect that you have when you move the mouse around.
Yeah, no, thank you for putting that on there. So it's has a life of 3 years or more. And so we've had our filters out there. And so we're just glad to be able to play a part in the Ukraine crisis. So thank you for that little chance.
No, thanks for donating, Ryan. It's a pleasure kind of knowing and working with companies like yours. So keep it up, and best of luck. Let us know when you guys are starting to raise money for this campaign, and we'll help you bring awareness and share it within our social media as well. And Ebert, I don't know if you wanted to say something about your organization, but you guys have been doing an amazing job to help others as well, not only in Ukraine, but in other parts of the world. So.
Thank you. Yes, we appreciate the partnership with Vector and the ability for us to donate as well. So, as Maureen mentioned, we have shipped some Turner kits, which we understood is in high demand, especially on the front where there's casualties. We are also working on another shipment of close to $450,000 in healthcare-related products. Alcohol wipes, sterile gloves, a lot of sterile products. And Maureen, I'll be in contact with you in the next week or so to arrange for some of the logistics around shipping that. We're just in the final stages of getting a full estimate of this. This may be more than a truckload of product.
Thank you again. I mean, this generosity is overwhelming, and we're happy to be a part of it and get stuff on the router as soon as possible.
I just wanted to say, I'm really glad to have met you all and to join this network of amazing people. And we also have many businesses in Mexico who want to donate in kind. So I'll let you know as soon as we manage to get through customs. So I will be getting in touch with you all to send as much aid as possible. But thank you for inviting me to this meeting.
Wonderful. We do this every week, so please continue to join us, even if you don't have any updates, just for information sharing. And when you get the recap afterwards, if you want to share the link for the next week on there. Every week we've had some new faces and some recurring faces, and it's just really great because all these connections are made just by opening small doors to one another. And the purpose here is not about, for those of you who've been on the call the past couple of weeks, we chose kind of halfway through, we weren't going to pull up our PowerPoint because it's more than just about what Vector's doing. And we wanted to share, we wanted to enable the conversation to continue with the information sharing and the questions. And that we're trying to be agile with how we do this each week. So everybody that's coming feels like the content is valuable and it's a worthwhile hour of your time. So with that said, please feel free to send any feedback or questions or anything to our email address afterwards, because we want to incorporate that to make everybody's busy, and we want to make sure that we're making this hour as valuable as possible, and casting our net wide with making sure everybody can attend and knows about the invitation, and if there's anything that we're missing, we definitely we are very receptive to feedback.
Well, thank you so much, Maureen, for everything you do as well. I know you've been working really, really hard on top of having Theodore sick, so you didn't have a
Yes.
very pleasant weekend. But so thank you, everyone. If there's anything else that we can do to matchmake or coordinate or try to fund or pay for, and just let us know. We'll do whatever we can to continue helping Ukraine, to help all the millions of refugees that are fleeing the country and the millions that are still in the Ukraine, which are even more. Yeah, this is going to be, unfortunately, a long process, right? This will not be done soon. So I think that we have to, when we talk about aid and how we ship things, we have to, all companies, I'll encourage you to kind of think longer term, 1 year, 2 years. Let's just keep helping, because this is not going to go away, unfortunately, that quickly. Although we do hope and pray that the actual war and shooting and bombing does end soon. But anyways, have a good rest of your day, evening, or morning, depending on where you guys are. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.